The Oklahoma Sooners got their guy. David Stone commits on Saturday evening. We'll talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? As always, our recruiting segments are brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Josh Helmer, follow him on Twitter at JoshOnRef. Follow me at John9Williams. We got David Stone.
The recruit that in so many ways this class was always going to be defined by. Obviously there's been other recruitments along the way that generated plenty of headlines and attention, but it was always David Stone. It was always about David Stone and the fact that he was an Oklahoma kid that relocated, went to the IMG Academy, but OU had the in at a position at defensive tackle where they just haven't recruited great, or at least not the elite of the elite of the elite over the past, toss however many years you want to throw my direction at me. And so because of those reasons, David Stone felt like a must get for Oklahoma. Well, you've got your must get today.
Yeah, they absolutely had to get this one because also they were the favorite to land him for the longest time. And sometimes when you're way out in front in a race, maybe you kind of tire down the stretch, but Oklahoma kept the recruitment going. They kept the pressure up. They kept building the relationship and ultimately were able to win out over some really good recruiting schools in Michigan State and Miami, and to a little bit lesser extent, Florida and Oregon and Texas A&M. I mean, it's a huge win for the Sooners. Even though they were the favorites to win it, the fact that they won it matters. It's been a long, long time since Oklahoma's been able to add a guy that could be a legit difference maker, not only at the collegiate level, but at the NFL level. You might have to go back to a guy like Tommy Harris and Gerald McCoy when they were able to get some of the best, defensive tackle prospects in the country. That's what they've got with David Stone, a guy who's the number 10 prospect in the 247 Sports rankings, number 6 in the 247 Sports composite, a consensus 5-star player, one of the best defensive tackles in the country. You got to get this dude. And again, 6'4", 280, 282, wherever you look, with great movement skills, someone who can get off the ball really quickly, get into the backfield in a hurry, and make plays in both the pass game and the run game. Just an absolutely huge, huge win for the Sooners. And I can't wait to see how this works on the field, but also does it move the needle in some other recruitments over the next 4 months until the early signing period. We'll see, but it's a big time get for Todd Bates, Miguel Chavis, Brent Venables, Ted Roof, everybody who was a part of the staff and a part of that recruitment. I mean, they can celebrate big tonight.
Oh man. If you're a popping bottles kind of individual, well, it's time to pop a couple of bottles and celebrate. In the coaching staff, I'm sure a couple of those guys probably in the mood to celebrate a little bit, and deservedly so, because again, here's somebody in David Stone that is just a game wrecker. We talk about it at every level of football. Of course, college football for Oklahoma, they've been looking for that guy in those college football playoff type settings that can just go derail things for an opposing offense or an opposing quarterback. But National Football League too, right? What do we always hear about is that interior pressure is what goes and makes the great quarterbacks of all time a little bit mortal, right? That's what makes those guys a little bit mortal. Well, you, Oklahoma, have gotten one of those talents tonight.
And putting that together with what they've already added in the 2024 class, it just amplifies that. It makes it all look so much better because, yeah, you've got Jaden Jackson, but now you get to play Jaden Jackson and David Stone together, and that just makes your interior defensive line even stronger. You added a David Stone, getting to play alongside Adepoju Adebawore. once they kind of get into the swing of things and David Stone, earns his snaps, you get to put those two dudes next to each other, and you're going to create nightmare mismatches for guards and tackles and centers, not knowing, okay, where are we going to send the double team? You put R. Mason Thomas out there. I mean, this defensive line is starting to come together in a way that's going to make them a competitive unit when you get to the SEC, and you have to go against some of the best offensive lines in the country. You've got to have guys that can win individual matchups, and they can also make things happen for the guys next to them, whether it's the defensive end on the other side or the interior defensive lineman playing next to them. You've got to have guys that can, what I like to call, create gravity. They're drawing attention to themselves. They're drawing the focus to themselves so that it opens up things for everybody else. You've got to have dudes like that. And David Stone is a dude like that, someone who everybody's going to be aware of when he gets on the football field, because he's got a great first step. And again, he's got that athleticism and that quickness that allows him to penetrate quickly. And so teams aren't going to be able to shy away from sending doubles his way or keeping a running back in to chip him as he tries to make his way through the interior offensive line. Well, that's just going to open things up for your edge guys to be able to work towards the quarterback. And as you mentioned, Josh, that interior pressure, what does it do? It takes away the quarterback's ability to step up into the pocket, into a clean throwing lane. Tom Brady, you go back to those Super Bowl losses, any of them, it was interior pressure that slowed him down. The New York Giants back in the 2007 season, when the Patriots were undefeated, looked like they were not going to be stopped. The Giants, they were able to get interior pass rush against Tom Brady, keep him off his spot, not allow him any comfortability to step up in the pocket. And the Giants defense won that game. I mean, Eli Manning made a few plays, but it was the Giants defense that really, really made the difference. And again, as you mentioned, Josh, you got him. He has been the priority for this class. No matter what else happened, whether Williams Nwaneri committed or Dominic McKinley committed, or if you end up getting Nigel Smith or Danny Okoye down the road, you had to land David Stone.
And the teams you beat out along the way to do this, obviously the initial push that you faced from Michigan State felt really strong at different junctures of this recruitment. A&M, we know what's been associated with the name, image, likeness efforts of A&M. And guess what? The recent evil in the recruiting history of Oklahoma, right, was a loss for DJ Hicks to Texas A&M. So you had to overcome that. Oregon, again, the flash, the sizzle of an Oregon. Anytime you win a recruitment there, that's notable. And then Miami, of course, late to hold off the, strong indication or push late that maybe it was going to be Miami. When you beat these types of programs and those types of powers, that's significant for Oklahoma. And now we hope, John, with Stone, you hope that he is as advertised, that he's great. I have no reason to believe that that's not exactly what Oklahoma's getting. And then you kind of hope that this is the opening of the doorway to the future for Oklahoma, that this is the sign of the tides changing for Oklahoma, that, okay, well, David Stone went there, so Oklahoma lands these guys. And that stigma that for years and years and years was attached to Oklahoma as this program that doesn't play defense, and you don't go to Oklahoma to be a top defensive draft pick, that all of that can now be, again, a thing of the past.
It allows them to reinforce what they've done. Brent Venables specifically, what he's done over the last 20 years with defensive prospects. You look just at the interior alone, you've got the Tommy Harris, the Gerald McCoy at Oklahoma. You got Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, who are significant players in the National Football League right now from his time at Clemson. He helps, and Todd Bates as well, help develop interior defensive linemen and allow them and help them get to the next level. And as you mentioned, you pull in a guy with as much of a profile as him, there might not have been a more high profile recruitment in this cycle than David Stone, even bigger than the Williams Nwaneri recruitment. I think this one just seemed to generate way more buzz throughout the cycle. And maybe it's just because the Michigan, everybody that was involved in this, and to the end, it probably generated more buzz across the college football landscape. And I think you're right. It opens the door. It says, oh, a 5-star defensive tackle and David Stone went to Oklahoma. Well, let me reconsider this. Maybe it makes a 5-star linebacker reconsider whether it's going to be Oregon or Oklahoma. Maybe it can, makes a cornerback decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to consider Oklahoma now because a guy like David Stone went there. So I think you're absolutely right, man. It changes the idea and the identity of what Oklahoma is about. Now that Brent Venables, Todd Bates, Miguel Chavis, Ted Roof, Brandon Hall, Jay Valai, all these guys, James Skalski, all these guys are at Oklahoma now, reshaping the identity of what this team's going to be about. They're still going to be a really, really good offensive team, but they're bringing it back to them 2000s, those early 2000s, when this Brent Venables defense was really, humming on all cylinders at its height. It was really, really, really good. And he's going to bring it back there. It's just a matter of time, a matter of development, a matter of recruiting. And we've said it time and time again. We haven't seen yet the results play out on the football field, but we know that this coaching staff can flat recruit based on what we've seen since December of 2022.
And with that, let me just say, it's time to do some backflips, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to crack a couple of scooters or whatever your of choice might be. It's time to celebrate because, hey, man, we've been waiting on this. We've been waiting on this. We've been waiting on this. Oklahoma is a program where 5-star talent like David Stone should naturally be attracted to him. For whatever reason, it's been challenging to attract, but not totally get to the finish line with these types of recruits, commits, and signees. So, round of applause. Way to go, Mr. Bates. Hey, you're off the schneid here in Norman, Oklahoma. Mission accomplished. Everybody celebrate.
Yeah. And now you just got to get them signed, get the rest of this class signed, and see if you could maybe flip a commit or two down the road to make this class look even better. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. We'll talk more about what David Stone brings to the table, what it means for Oklahoma's 2024 class. But we got game week coming up, so we'll get ready for Arkansas State coming up this week as well. Follow Josh on Twitter at JoshOnRef, myself at John9Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Hit that notification bell, smash that like button every time you come by here on YouTube. But until next time, he's Josh Helmer. I'm John Williams. Boomer Sooner.